Hello everyone. Today I wanted to make a video discussing proactive ways to address the struggles surrounding anxiety or stage fright about giving a musical performance. Whether you're a young student or an experienced professional, I'm sure everyone at some point has had to deal with very strong feelings of anxiety or worry about performing in front of an audience, so it's something we can all relate to. The first tip I'd like to share is that gaining real-life experience as a performer is probably the most effective way to significantly reduce your anxiety about it. It might go something like this. The first time you play for an audience, it's absolutely terrifying. The second time is still pretty scary, but some of the hysteria is toned down. And the third time round, you feel anxious, but it's starting to feel manageable. And maybe by the fourth time, you start to look forward to it and only feel a little bit nervous, and so on and so forth. Keep in mind that different people respond in different ways to performance experiences. So one person might feel less frightened after 2 concerts, whereas another person might take 10 concerts before feeling somewhat calmer about it. The main point to remember is that if you face your fears, you actually get up on the stage and you play one concert after another, your anxiety about it will gradually decrease. Performing will start to feel like a familiar and safe activity that you are comfortable doing, and your confidence will increase the more often you do it. The second piece of advice I'll discuss relates to the way that you interpret your own anxiety. A lot of people think that anxiety is bad. They dislike it, they want to get rid of it. But what if you actually thought of your anxiety as something useful? Instead of saying, oh no, I feel scared, I don't like feeling this way, why not say, hey, my body is telling me that I feel excited for this concert. Feeling excited and feeling nervous are actually quite similar. You can think of the concert more like a fun adventure rather than a terrifying threat. The fact that you're anxious about performing tells you that you care about the performance and you would like to do well, but you're not sure how it's going to go, and there's no guarantee about how the music is going to come across that day. When you're feeling anxious, your body gives you a lot of energy and adrenaline, plus you become more focused and perceptive, and this is great for a performance, right? Your body is giving you exactly what you need in order to succeed in this important but uncertain activity. So try to remember that your body is your ally, and I think you should try to trust it and make constructive use of the natural way that it responds to the excitement of giving a musical performance. The last piece of advice I'll share is that, especially if you're a person with a more sensitive nervous system, feeling safe, supported, and loved is an important part of giving a confident and successful musical performance. Humans are partly afraid of performing in front of others because we think that if we make a mistake, other people will judge us negatively and think we're a failure or something like that. If you've ever had other people criticize you very harshly, you probably remember feeling like you wanted to shut down or hide from others or go crawl inside your shell. And of course, this is not the way you want to feel when you are getting up on a stage in front of an audience. So, you might be thinking, oh, but Michael, other people are critical of me, and very often I am judged negatively by others. And yes, this is unfortunately true that many people simply don't have very many or any, family members or peers or teachers or anyone really in their life who is explicitly very loving or accepting or an emotionally mature person. But that's no problem, actually, because you can train your own mind to be loving to yourself. If you make deliberate efforts to cultivate supportive and loving thoughts in your own mind, then it will start to feel like your experience of reality is generally more loving and supportive. So for example, you can get out a piece of paper or make a mental list and write down the good or successful things that you did today. And you can write down the good or successful things that someone else did today. And I would even recommend writing down the good and successful things that were achieved by someone whom you ordinarily dislike. You can also write down how much you appreciate these things too. Another perspective you can cultivate is that of respectfully accepting yourself and others. You can write things like, this person is different than me for such and such reasons, but I respect that person's feelings. I allow that person to be whoever he or she is, and I wish to lovingly support that person. You can write down a sentence like, this person made a mistake today, but I still like that person, and he or she actually did many, many things correctly today. You can make up your own statements with words that seem the most relevant or meaningful to you, and you can try to make statements directed both towards yourself and towards others. So if you routinely work on this, your mind builds new habits, and your brain will just automatically tend to generate supportive and appreciative thoughts rather than pessimistic or hostile thoughts. If you then encounter other people who are, spewing a long string of harsh criticisms at you or others, you'll understand that their speech doesn't represent objective reality, but their speech only represents their personal perception of reality. Your own thoughts will be so resilient and different that you probably won't feel so bothered by their judgmental attitudes. Of course, some criticism is helpful and important. When it is appropriate to do so, others may offer you advice in a way that is respectful of your feelings and given for the purpose of helping you improve or make positive progress in your life. And you should, of course, consider these criticisms thoughtfully and strive to improve yourself if the advice makes sense. But, I'm talking more about like harsh criticisms that are not really given in an appropriate or loving manner, which again, unfortunately, is still quite a common occurrence amongst human interactions in general. But the bottom line is that if your own mind becomes more resiliently supportive and encouraging, you'll feel like you yourself are supported and accepted, and you can have the confidence to get up on a stage and perform in a way that is open and natural and sincerely engaging your feelings. You don't have to perform from a state of fear or tension or a kind of like competitive defensive survival mode. I think you'll enjoy the experience much more, and so will the audience. So I think I'll wrap things up here. So keep in mind that feeling anxiety is ultimately just a natural part of life. There's never going to be a way to completely get rid of it. No matter how much you work at it, you'll probably still feel nervous before every concert, and that's okay. That's just the way it is. So I hope these ideas were helpful, or at least thought-provoking. Please feel free to share your own perspectives in the comments if you feel like it. All right, goodbye.